And we're going. Forget intros. We're already in. All right. So, yeah, today we covered Ali Wong, Hard Knock Wife, which was number 2 on, I believe, was it number 2?
Yeah, that was the one. That was her second one. That was from 2018. Okay. Her first one, Baby Cobra, was from 2016.
And I'm glad I didn't see that one. If what I just endured is anything to go by, 1 hour is too much. Ali Wong. There does not need to be a second hour of her entertainment in the world.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny, but this one we just subjected you to, Terry, is actually worse.
Well, it would have to be. I think we've kind of come new depths.
I don't know. I thought that was better than Baby Cobra, honestly, but not by much.
Well, I'm going to say it was worse than Nanette, and I thought Nanette was terrible, and this was worse.
I would say this is a yeah, that's pretty bad.
Because with Nanette, I could tell that she had jokes in there. She just didn't tell them very well, and they weren't very good jokes. This had no jokes. This was my husband and my baby are both a pain in the ass for an hour. I was like, I thought at the start, okay, she's just introducing herself, and then 10 minutes later, she's still. Oh wait, this is meant to be the jokes. Oh shit. And then it just felt like here's my life and why it sucks, even though I'm rich and famous.
And not white.
And not white. And female. She gets all these, not evil points in terms of the progressive stack. But no. Absolutely woeful. No, that was. If I wasn't watching it for the sake of this stream, I would have stopped watching it about 10 minutes into it. I just said, why am I doing this?
Oh, yeah, if Johnny hadn't assigned homework, I wouldn't have watched it at all.
Exactly. And her voice, like, she was just shouting rather than talking, and she seemed to think that was funny.
She had 4 different accents.
Yeah.
Well, she took ethnic studies in college. Remember, Johnny?
Yeah,
were you paying attention?
Yeah. That goes without saying. Well, at least she's brazen enough to admit that it leads to nothing.
Yes, that was one small patch of honesty that I do appreciate, but
honestly, I think the fact that I couldn't see her this time and I was just focused on her voice with that shouting is why I think this is worse than Baby Cobra.
I could have probably taken just the video, cut all the audio out from the first stand-up, and just plays it over the second audio. Or place that video over this audio, and you'd get the same.
Yeah.
Same stand-up.
It's How many more are on this list? How many specials do we have to subject ourselves to?
Well, I mean, if we want a palate cleanser, I guess we could go with the first one on the list. Since we've been working our way backwards, we could go with Steve Martin and Martin Short next time around.
Well, that might actually be funny. So that sounds promising.
Well, I was going through Netflix's list, and there's a Russell Brand stand-up that just came out.
You want me to slit my wrist, don't you?
I haven't seen enough Russell Brand to have an opinion of him.
I had enough of him just watching Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I didn't see
But
that.
for some reason, they kept putting him in fucking movies after that.
Yeah, well, I've never seen his movies because they just didn't appeal to me. So no, forget it. But,
Go peruse his YouTube channel. See how he strikes your fancy there.
oh, he's got a YouTube channel. Okay,
Oh yeah, he argues the wage gap.
as in he thinks it exists.
Yes.
I hate him already.
Well, I mean, Russell Brand is what I would imagine like the bearded lady would look like at all those sideshows in like the 1920s.
That would be interesting to see.
So I can imagine, you know, he would support the whole wage gap being a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, his stand-ups, and I watched a couple of them. It's literally, here's my joke. Look at my penis.
Well then, since I don't want to see his penis, I'm guessing I would not appreciate the humor.
He's the bad Tinder date.
Well, I shall save myself the torment and not watch his YouTube channel then.
Yeah, it's very virtue signally and.
What do you guys think about Jim Jeffries? He's another comedian that is all very politically correct, and look how on the right side of history I am.
Yeah, which that only really started after he got his TV show.
Yes.
Like the first one, Legit, on FX. Before that, he was talking about, you know, being a drunken Australian.
Yeah, he was actually funny back when he was doing that stuff, but he stopped being funny once he became political and virtue signaling.
And I pinpointed at the whole Piers Morgan Real Time with Bill Maher discussion.
Yes,
that's where I see him as having turned.
I can pinpoint it before
left.
that.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
When he announced his Comedy Central show,
have you seen?
He was getting the Jim Jeffries show.
Okay. Have you seen his whole thing about gun control? I think that might predate all of this stuff. And
I remember him doing a bit about how, you know, you can't have, you know, gun control and keep your families, or you can't have, you know, guns out and keep your family safe or whatever.
Yeah, he was basically saying that you need gun control because if you follow the rules like you say that you are, then the guns aren't protection anyway. So what do you need them for, kind of thing.
Because I can open a gun safe faster than the cops can get to my house. That's why, Jim.
Well, yeah, he's a...
It's not that hard to get into a gun safe if you know the code.
He's a comedian. He's not a political expert, and he made that very, very clear in that comedy special.
I have to say, that's the thing that pisses me off the most about comedians when they pull that, oh, I'm a comedian, man. Like, well, yeah, that just means that you're supposed to make your arguments funny. You know, it doesn't mean that you know your arguments, you know, don't have to hold up to scrutiny.
Well, I think if you're going to go with I'm just a comedian, you can't then turn around and complain that no one takes you seriously when you think you've made a serious point.
Well, that's like the Jon Stewart syndrome, or the John Oliver, you know,
yes.
now. You know, the John Oliver, he'll sit there and he'll editorialize on his show, and he'll make some pretty good points about stuff. Like, I remember the one he did about civil asset forfeiture. You know, something that doesn't get covered nearly enough in mainstream media, that people don't even know about it a lot of the time. And then, you know, he'll do another bit, you know, about, you know, Trump or something like that, and he'll be like, "Oh, well, I'm just a comedian," when he gets the backlash.
Yeah. Well, I think you need to pick a side. If you're going to say, I'm a comedian, then you have to be okay with no one taking you seriously when you talk about politics. Or if you want to talk about politics, then you can't fall back on, hey, I'm just a comedian when you get the pushback. You have to pick a side. On the Jon Stewart comedian hat on, comedian hat off, I think that's very disingenuous. Oh, hey, Chaos. We have a Chaos Eve in the audience.
Oh, I haven't pulled up chat.
My focus is all over the place.
Well, I mean, yeah, we started the stream during Minions, but we've actually been going for over an hour now.
Well, we watched the special during Lords of the Night, and then
yes, we've committed double the blasphemy this evening.
Yes.
No, that whole thing tonight, that was just cringe on top of cringe.
Yeah. One thing I disagreed.
Well, at least it didn't start off with HPV jokes.
Oh yeah. You notice that it's always the slutty chicks who try to tell you that everyone has HPV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she's commenting that she's downing Plan B like it's Skittles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she literally compared her vagina to a public park that had hosted more than a couple reggae fests.
I just find that revolting rather than funny. Like, it doesn't make me laugh in the slightest. It just makes me think, ew. Which is the wrong reaction for a comedian to be eliciting.
I don't know, man. You can do gross out humor. That's
you can
funny.
I'm just saying that was just gross. It was the first half of gross out humor, without the important part. The humor.
Yeah,
and apparently she's fucked at least 2 homeless guys from that first special.
Oh yes.
I can't think of a male comedian who would go out with a bit talking about banging a couple of homeless broads.
No,
unless there was something that made it really funny.
Well, you would have to make it funny. You'd have to find a way to make it funny, otherwise it wouldn't be in the act. I mean, male comedians seem to be held to a much higher standard in terms of actually being funny, because people apparently thought Ali Wong was funny, and they would be wrong.
I mean, if you're a male comedian and you're going up on stage with a bit about fucking a homeless chick, there's something that's got to be really outrageous that happens during that makes it hilarious. Like you fuck her so hard her dentures fall out and go clattering across the floor like that little toy or something.
Yeah, you'd have to make an actual joke. The fact that you banged a homeless woman couldn't be the joke itself. You would need that to be the setup and then have an actual joke, as opposed to, hey, I banged a homeless guy. Yeah, good one. That's top comedy there. And I think that's my big problem with the Ali Wong thing, was there were no jokes. It was her complaining, and then that would have been a good time to then say something funny about the thing she was complaining about, but instead she just kept complaining.
And it was hard to tell, especially between the first and second ones. It's hard to tell if she was joking about her situation or if she was like, joking, not joking type.
Yeah, like, does she actually resent her kid for being born? Which is the kind of the impression she was giving out. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and assume that was entirely fictional, and that she doesn't begrudge her kid for being born or her husband for marrying her.
My question is, How did that dude stick with her between the first special coming out and this one?
Probably saw dollar signs in front of his eyes once he realized she was actually starting to make money. And it's like, you know what? I can put up with this if it means free money. Like she said in the special, he could very well just be in it for the money at this point because she is making a substantially higher amount than when they met.
That I don't know, man. Just because I mean, she does talk a lot of shit about that dude, and I guess the one upside is like she hasn't named him like in her specials. It's just my husband.
Unless he was one of the names that she was saying with the whole pussy eating segment. Maybe he's Elliot. Maybe he's whoever the other dude was.
I've never met an Asian dude named Spencer.
Well, first time for everything.
There is, but
oh, hey Peter. We have a Peter in the audience as well.
Yeah, getting ready to go to work, man. I feel you, dude. It sucks.
It does. I'm glad I stopped doing that.
Yeah, we're not all that lucky, Terry.
Yes, I'm aware. All you need is a rich relative who becomes a dead rich relative, and then there you go.
Oh yeah, dude, I am so waiting for the rest of my extended family to die because the immediate members, they're broke as shit.
Well, for me, it was my grandfather, but because my father died before my grandfather's estate settled, I got his part of the estate directly. And yes, if you do find yourself in a situation where you don't have to work, I am fully in favor of not working. It leaps and bounds better than the alternative.
Oh, that does remind me. Riley made a video on a UBI today. I sat down and watched that because I can't torture myself enough.
What's UBI?
Universal Basic Income.
Oh dear God.
Yeah.
How do they think that's going to work?
Apparently, the government just gives everyone money and they spend that money and that somehow makes the economy keep going.
And they don't think prices will just increase to reflect the higher amount of money in circulation?
That was the great thing. Like I saw one comment that actually brought that up, because a bunch of them are just the clapping seals. That
Yeah,
Frank Riley is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
that's a scary thought.
Yeah, it is. That's why, like the other day, I told Johnny he has way more faith in humanity than I, because
You should have none. And hey, Sora.
Evening, Sora. How's it going? Yeah, that there was one comment that pointed out that hey, inflation's a thing, Riley. You might want to look into it.
Yeah, exactly. Peter pointed that out as well. They don't understand inflation clearly, and that's the same thing that it always comes back to with these give everyone money ideas. It doesn't work because people just raise their prices because now everyone has more money and they can afford to spend more.
Well, that's the thing. Like I witness it firsthand. I work and live in an area where a large percentage of the people are on some sort of welfare, and they don't do shit.
Well, I always think it's a problem when welfare is enough to dissuade people from getting jobs. Like if your welfare is enough that you can say, why would I get a job when I can get a decent amount by not working? I think you've got a problem. I think you need to reevaluate at that point.
Well,
it shouldn't be on par with a job, the amount of social security that you receive.
well, like that's the thing. Like a lot of the ones that are coming in are getting food stamps, and I
Hmm.
don't have anything against food stamps personally, uh, but it is greatly abused in at least American society because I got people coming in all the time who they're just buying candy bars and soda, and that is not what food stamps was meant for. You know, the government's giving you money once a month, tax free. Like anything you buy, they take the taxes off of that.
Okay.
So you're just paying the price of the item, and they expect you to use that money once a month to get enough groceries to last you a month.
That's crazy talk. Spend money responsibly.
Exactly
It'll
right.
never catch on.
And so I get people coming in. They'll spend. I've had people spend upwards of $50 in a convenience store. $50 of products. You know,
What are
that's
they buying?
literally it's soda, candy bars, chips, snack cakes. I've had one person in 3 months actually buy things to make a meal, and that was enough for like breakfast and lunch for one day.
Hmm. I mean, there's always going to be irresponsible people in the world, but it just kind of breaks my brain that if you don't have money, that you wouldn't make every effort to make the small amount you had actually last. It just like when I had no money, I didn't spend much that I didn't have to. It just seems common sense.
I was horrible with saving. Like it. Oh, I am. There's no was. But
Oh,
I mean, I was a lot worse when I was younger than I am now.
well, yeah, growing up tends
I'm
to.
still not any better.
Well, like another thing that gets me about the food stamps is like if you have more dependents, you get more money. So it's incentivizing people to crap out a bunch of kids that they don't care about.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and I love the argument. They're like, well, what do you want these kids to starve because they don't have any food? It's like, yeah, fuck them. They're not my kids. I don't care. Maybe the parents should have thought about that before they had them.
well, you can sell the kids for money that you can then spend on more food.
Uh,
I mean,
here's an idea. Modest proposal. Let these let these people read Jonathan Swift and see if that sparks any creativity.
fuck. I love that modest proposal. That the concept of it just cracks me up.
But yeah, I mean, I actually had one guy. I had to bite my tongue because he flat asked me. He's sitting there swiping a food stamp card, and he flat asked me if it bothers me that people come in there and they use food stamps. And it's like, well, you got 2 arms and 2 legs. You seem to be able to get around okay. Why the fuck don't you have a job? And I notice like there seems to be, at least in my area, a correlation between having hand, neck, and face tattoos and having an EBT card.
That does seem like a reasonable correlation. might be happening there.
Usually something around the eye.
Oh God. So
I had one guy, he came in and he had the Monster energy drink logo tattooed on his face.
classy.
Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy a pick-me-up from time to time, and I might drink a Monster, but I'm not that goddamn brand loyal.
No one should be. Like, there is no brand I love to the point that I like. I have almost 2,000 games on Steam. I am not getting the Valve logo tattooed anywhere on my body. It's just, no.
I have let's see. Have you guys heard of social distortion?
I have, yeah. Didn't the singer, getting uh, in the news earlier this year for punching a fan at a concert?
Yeah, he punched a fan after going on an anti-Trump rant.
Nice.
I was kind of torn on that story too. It's like on the one hand, it's like you're at a punk rock concert, you expect him to be, like a company man.
Yeah.
Do you expect him to be, rooting for the establishment, really? And on the other hand, it's like you had a fan disagree with you. Is that really, jump in the crowd and
Well,
you know?
I would say there should be no political rants at a punk rock concert to begin with. Like Trump's name shouldn't come up.
Well,
You should be there to play music. And
in their defense, though, I mean, that's kind of what the punk rock thing was supposed to be.
You heard it here first, folks. Terry does not want Rage Against the Machine to tour ever again.
I'd be fine with that.
I don't think I would mind it much either.
Are we talking new Rage or old Rage? Because there's a difference now.
I mean, I like some of Rage Against the Machine's music, but yeah, I mean, the political messaging shouldn't be front and center. It should be the music first, and then sort of if you've got a political message in the song, okay, I guess. But
if I could listen to Rage Against the Machine without the vocals, that would make it so much better.
yes, agreed. Like
So
the actual music is great. It's just yeah.
So I have this tattooed on my arm
Oh, okay, cool.
because I really like the band.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that I was thinking when I got the tattoo and I got it, and my immediate buyer's regret was, please don't be a Nazi. Like I'm just like, now next thing you know, he's just gonna lynch people left and right. And
oh, what was that? What's that, like that Christian rock band or whatever, like metal band or whatever? Like the lead singer ended up going to prison because he was trying to get his wife murdered or whatever.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, doing thrash metal for Jesus on Sunday, and Monday morning he's trying to hire a hitman to kill his old lady. I can't remember the name of that band to save my life.
let's see.
I just remember like it was probably 10 years ago now. It's been a while. Because like you had like a Reverend Ted Haggard and his whole hypocrisy coming out about being anti-gay, and then preaching that to the choir, and then going and smoking meth with gay hookers.
Tim Lambesis.
That's the guy. Yeah. What was the name of that band again?
I don't want to donate to Wikipedia. You can go to hell. Oh, he's only 2 months older than me. As I Lay Dying.
That's okay. Yeah, that one always kind of struck me as funny, along with Reverend Ted.
Mm.
Now, Reverend Ted was funny because wasn't he like, he's very anti-homosexual, and then he started off just saying, "Oh no, I was just trying to heal him."
Oh yeah. I think the best part of the whole Reverend Ted story was when they did like the inevitable rip from the headlines Law and Order, was it SVU?
Yeah, it had
and they had Tom Arnold.
It was Tom Arnold and
what is that other guy's name? He was like he played Le Skeptic in that episode. Was it Alan Cummings? I want to say it was Alan Cummings for some reason.
My dad used to watch SVU, but I never paid attention to it, so I can't tell you who was in what episodes or anything like that.
Well, I was never a big fan of SVU until I ended up in the county drunk tank one weekend. and they had they had TV in jail.
Okay.
And so they got the TV just sitting out in the hall, and it's on the USA Network was the one they were playing. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, it rolls over to like SVU for like a 4-hour block until the sun comes up. And so I just looked at my buddy as we're sitting there in the drunk tank. It's like, yep, we're about to hear about 4 hours of rape.
It is weird that they made
better fictional than real.
Well, I mean, yeah, definitely, especially when you're sitting in jail,
But it seems weird to me that, like, Law and Order, they said, okay, let's make one that's nothing but sex crimes. Like, it seems unnecessary.
And I'm pretty sure that one's still going.
Wouldn't be surprised. No one wants to end any shows while they can still make a couple of bucks out of them.
Well, I mean, that's what gets me is like of all the late '90s, early 2000s crime shows, like that's the one that's still carrying on. I think all the CSIs have finally died. I think the only other thing they got going on is like the NCIS or whatever. Which,
yeah,
my God, man,
these are all shows I never watched. It's like, unless you're making me laugh, I'm probably gonna tune out. In terms of TV and movies, unless it's so interesting to make up for the fact that it isn't funny, I'm probably just gonna go, not for me.
Well, like my mother used to watch all the Law and Orders, and I always think it was funny to sit there and if I was watching it with her to try and spoil it for her, even though I'd never seen it either.
Oh yeah,
because they'd have like those marathons on TV.
Well, they were also formulaic, so if you've seen one, you should be able to pick the killer in all of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, like it drove my girlfriend crazy. We were watching Thor Ragnarok the other day, and I was like, "Yep, Kurt Russell's the bad guy." And we weren't even like or no, not Thor Ragnarok. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we're watching that, and I was like, "Yep, Kurt Russell's the bad guy." She goes, "What? How do you know?" It's like, we're only 2 minutes into the movie or whatever. I was like, his name's Ego. Think about it. Have you ever heard ego referred to in a good sense?
No, the one that I was thinking of, not the one with Tom Arnold. It was one with because that was the one with criminal. That was the criminal intent one.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, I get him confused.
I was thinking with Tim Daly.
Oh, yep, I know who that is.
Because I was thinking it was the guy. It was the guy from Wings.
Okay.
Because I love that show.
Yeah, I don't remember that one now that I think about it.
And yeah, I remember watching him do an interview with it was on Conan, and people keep on asking him about like Wing stuff.
Oh God!
And he's like, "That show was 20 years ago. I don't even remember anything about that show now."
That's got to suck for him, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, it made an impact.
Did you ever watch that show Monk? Because Tim Daly was in an episode of Monk.
As himself, yeah.
Yeah, as himself. And then one of the lines was, "Wait, who's Tim Daly?" And he goes, "No one knows." Or like, "I've never heard of Tim Daly." No one has. It was like making fun of the fact that no one remembers him anymore. It's like completely faded from public memory.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, I'll forget about him from time to time. I'll get him confused with Steven Weber.
Yeah, that's
like everyone does. Yeah.
Well, see, and that's what's really funny because he voiced Superman.
Cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And like it was switched between Jerry O'Connell and Tim Daly and George something or other. George Newburn or something like that.
Okay.
So are you guys ready for Black Superman?
Only if it's also a disabled lesbian. And it's Superwoman. Woman. WOMYN.
Are you sure it's not Wemzixen?
Oh yeah, WOMXN is or Wimixen, as Tim Paul likes to pronounce it. We're mixing.
Oh God.
We just call them minxes.
Yeah.
No, I'm still. My head still hurts from Allie.
Yeah, I don't blame you. My attitude is the world is going to hell, but at least we have front row seats.
Pretty
VIP
much.
ticket.
Well, like what bothers me is like, yeah, because we're working through a New York Times list that we started months ago now, right?
Yeah.
And uh, the sad thing is like, all three of us know that there's so much better comedy out there. I mean,
Well,
Bill Burr, Joey Diaz,
I was gonna say,
Rogan.
and chances are 90% of it is all guys.
you think?
But like, I've noticed that with some of the ones that I've held as pretty standard go-to comedians, like the new Ron White one on Netflix, real big drop off from the last one he had.
I reckon Greg Giraldo, as of today, is still funnier than Ali Wong was.
Well, that goes without saying.
Like,
Oh, we
no,
could dig him up right now, and he would make us laugh harder than Ali did.
Yes, like him as a corpse is still funnier than Ali Wong was. And Hannah Gadsby. And probably Sarah Silverman, but I was spared from actually watching that one.
I mean, if we just dug him up right now and just grabbed his skull up and worked his mouth like Hamlet,
Yeah,
just doing his old bits, from 15 years ago, that would still be funnier. Yes,
just play the
absolutely.
recording of Tough Crowd and move the jaw of the skull. Already funnier.
And just get someone to do an imitation of Dennis Leary.
Just get Dennis Leary to do it. He'd do anything for money. You give him $5, he'd do it.
Or just do your best Bill Hicks impression and say that it's Dennis Leary. One of the two.
I made that joke on Lords of the Night once because they were talking about Bill Hicks, and I said, "You don't need a new Bill Hicks. Just get Dennis Leary to do it, or something like that."
There's one thing on the Minions that I tried to get Prospero on, and because she was saying how she liked Dennis Leary's asshole song.
Oh yeah.
And that actually was a Louis C.K. joke.
Yes, it was. It was. I don't know if I think Dennis was the one who set it to music, but the jokes in the song were Louis C.K.'s.
Yeah, I mean, a few people have ripped off Louis. Dane Cook was another one that ripped him off.
Well, I never honestly, it wasn't even really that big of a ripoff.
No, like he took like two of them that I remember, and one was talking about like having an itchy asshole.
Yeah,
and Louis like, I'm not suing him. I'm not taking him to court over a joke called itchy asshole. He can have it. Fuck it.
Yeah, well, I saw that.
And with Louis C.K.'s style, he's like, once I'm done with the joke, once I've said it, I'm done with it. Like I'll do one tour with it, and that's it.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, it does get annoying when you watch multiple specials from the same comedian and you see the same joke like several times.
Like Ali Wong.
Well, she didn't have any jokes, so that doesn't count.
No, but I mean, she had the same material. I mean, the fact that it wasn't funny is irrelevant. It's the same shit that she did in her last special.
Yes.
Only this time she talked about having a baby instead of, having a baby inside of her.
Hmm.
She definitely made sure to remind people that her husband went to Harvard Business School.
Yeah.
In case they didn't see the first special where she told people her husband went to Harvard Business School.
Well, I didn't see the first one, so that was news to me, but I didn't care. Like, that's not part of a joke. It's just, okay, good for him.
But Yeah, like her whole first special was talking about how much of a slut she was in her 20s, which again, got no problem with it. You know, just make it funny.
I gotta say I hated the stopping like, and same with Hannah Gadsby. She stopped the momentum of her jokes with, and people would ask me, "Hey, Allie," da, 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 da. It's like the only people asking you this are strawmen.
Yeah, of course. No one actually says any of this stuff that they pretend people are asking them.
Yeah, you know, the only people asking are straw men, and that's just because they're killing time waiting for the bus to take them down the yellow brick road so they can get their brain from the wizard. There's nobody with a brainstem is asking those questions.
No. It might be the same 8-year-olds or 4-year-olds who are making all the incredibly insightful comments on Twitter via their parents. They might be the same ones asking all these questions. Like all the woke 6-year-olds saying, you know, why don't women have equality yet? And like, oh, if even my 6-year-old knows, why doesn't everyone else?
You know, that's probably the only reason why I would ever want to procreate is just so I could get one of those woke 6-year-olds to tell everyone that their woke 6-year-old is retarded.
Indeed.
Like, look, a 6-year-old said it, so it must be true. You're raising a fucking retard. You know,
Well,
I'm not an asshole for pointing this out. The 6-year-old said it.
Ben Shapiro does that with his 2-year-old son, where he pretends he says something, and then he points out, well, of course he didn't say anything of the sort. He's 2, but he does pretend that he's got the woke 2-year-old, or like the anti-woke, because it's always conservative opinions. But yeah, in response to the woke 6-year-olds, he goes, well, my 2-year-old son said, why can't they see that the wage gap is the result of men and women working different jobs in different industries and men working more hours? If my 2-year-old can see it, why can't?
What was that joke that you were talking about? That David was talking about, and then you put in a side chat, and all the seals clapped.
Oh, it was one of the things she was talking about. You know, having a baby. Hold on, let me go back here. Why they needed maternity leave? This is why women need maternity leave.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mm.
You know, she went through her whole diatribe about, you know, how much this baby tore her body apart. It's like, you're a writer. You can't do that shit from home, really? You can't write some racist Asian jokes for fresh off the boat, laying in bed. You have to go into the office for that.
Well, and still, even the stuff that she was bringing up, that was just all wrong. I mean, a lot of maternity and paternity stuff is covered at the FMLA. So yeah,
email doesn't stand for "fuck my life" in that.
It's the Family Medical Leave Act.
Okay.
Does that cover the entertainment industry as well?
It's technically supposed to cover everything that's considered employment.
Well, I mean, her being a writer on that show, she might be just a contracted employee instead of, you know, like a full-time. That's the only thing I could think of that maybe it wouldn't apply, is if she's, you know, some kind of independent contractor or something like that. But I mean, come on.
Well, in that case, she's a shitty contractor. Like,
I mean, you really expect, you know, facts and, you know, logic to be coming in on a comedy special? How dare you, sir?
You raise an interesting point there.
Again, I don't mind if everything she says is completely dead ass wrong. I just want it to be funny.
Yeah, well, that's never going to happen, I don't think. I think the problem is people are telling her that this was funny, so she's just going to keep doing more of the same. Whereas if people were saying, this was fucking awful, get your act together and give us something decent next time, well, next time will at least be different.
I do have to admit that, like in her first special, she did have a couple of jokes that actually kind of made me chuckle. Like she had one talking about, was it how Asians, Asian women don't die. They just, they get older and older. She's like her mother's in her 80s, and she's getting depressed because all of her friends are dying. Her husband died, her white friends died, her Mexican friends died, her black friends died, and there's this long pause for a second, and she's like, "My mother doesn't have black friends."
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, at least we can point out that Asian racism towards blacks is acceptable. Thank you.
Of course it is. Only whites are able to be racist. That's common knowledge.
Well, that was it Bo Burnham? He did this song called "Clan Cookout." He ends the song with the little as he's playing. He ends it out as "I have black friends," and then he goes, "Yeah, just in case you guys are wondering, I was just kidding. I don't have black friends."
Because almost all of my friends are online, I don't know how many of them are black and how many of them are Mexican and how many of them are Asian. For all I know, I'm actually talking to a camel and a cat. I can't prove that I'm not.
Well, Google did dox me to camel, so
I've already forgotten what it was about anyway, so you're safe. I've slept since then. Don't remind me.
So how did Google dox you to camel?
when I set up the rabbit.
Oh, okay.
And somehow it has my name in my Google thing set up somewhere. Which is weird because this is my throwaway account. So it shouldn't even have my name on it at all.
Unless you typed in like your first and last name when it asked to set up the rabbit deal.
As far as I'm concerned, your first name is Jonathan and your surname is Hellcat.
Because like when it asked me, to set up like a first and last name username, I just put H8 for the first name, Camel for the last name, and then
of course your real name. So
exactly, yeah. I need to come up with a really good aristocratic sounding name like Polly did for Dubbenstein. I need to come up with something like that.
Or get one of Jack's cat's names. The cat lady names.
I don't know.
Mr. Whiskers and Lord Meowington.
I don't know. Maybe I'll go with like a Horatio Octavius. What's a good last name that I could put Camel on? Camelberg.
There you go.
Yeah. No.
He's Jewish.
That's too close to Gutenberg.
I
mean, he's already got me doing the little Jewish in my head whenever that old man
Well, so like they were talking about on Comic Book Curation about doing one where they're reacting to like mean comments or something.
Oh, Comic Book Curation, mean tweets edition.
Yeah, and I go, I'm like, just do a roast stream and just obliterate whoever is the ones sending this shit to you. And he goes, and Polydub's like, yeah, but that kind of like opens you up to
targeted harassment.
And I go, well, then just have Gutenberg do it. Because like I don't know, like.
Well, then you gotta try and figure out a way to convince Gutenberg to do it on his channel.
Well, and then like I don't. Like,
I can just see him sitting there now, like, eh? Why are we talking about comic books on my channel? What?
He just has that kind of presence that like I don't think anyone would fuck with him.
Well, my attitude has always been if someone wants to send hate messages my way, and not Mr. Camel references, just normal hate, then let them. I mean, I've had death threats before. I just ignored them. Not a big deal.
I gotta say, I was upgraded to Russian troll.
Well, see, like with hate mail, that doesn't bother me in the least. I've not gotten any yet. I mean, and frankly, I'm a little offended. But I've had people threaten to kill me to my face. So yeah, go ahead, type your fucking email. I don't care.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got death threats because I liked a comment. I wish I was exaggerating. My friend wrote a review on Facebook of a book that he didn't like. I liked the review, and so the author sent me and him death threats.
What fucking book?
It was called Chestnuts by Gilbert Ohanian. And the funny thing is, it's a book about bullying. And he was sending.
Is it a how-to manual?
It's all about why bullying is wrong, and he's oblivious to the fact that maybe sending death threats across the internet's counter to the message of the book that you're trying to present.
Well, I mean, it takes one to know one, Terry. How do you think he came across all this this knowledge about bullying?
This is a very good
practical application.
But I've still got the messages saved on Facebook because they're hilarious.
God, I want to hear that.
I'll go find them. They should be in my messenger. Let's go message.
Oh,
I have to imagine that a death threat from a paid author has to be damn good.
Oh, it wasn't.
Well,
they were telling me that I should warn my family because he's coming after them too, and it was great. I just wish I knew where they were because I've got to figure out where the spam messages get saved.
Now, what was this author also Australian?
No, he was American.
Oh, well, see, that's when you just message him back with like a Travelocity statement showing how much it's going to cost to fly, and then you just say your move.
Just be like, I know you're a writer.
I'll be waiting at the Sydney airport. Just tell me when you're coming in.
I'll be waiting at the Sydney airport sometime next year.
But the funny thing is, he used fake accounts to send the death threats. So he was trying to deny that it was him. It was just his fans were doing this out of loyalty. And then my other friend...
that sounds like the Skip Bayless treatment right there.
But my other friend, he's a Scottish guy, and he was just talking to the author and harassing him a bit. And he goes, do you want the same that they got? He's like, well, you practically just confessed that you're the one sending the messages, didn't you?
Yeah. John, do you know who Skip Bayless is? I don't imagine Terry does.
I do not.
Yeah, I know Skip Bayless.
Yeah, Skip Bayless, he is a American sports commentator. And he's on ESPN. He's just another one of the talking heads. And he got busted. I think it was on Facebook, where he posted a comment about something, and then right underneath that, it's him writing about agreeing with Skip Bayless. because he forgot to switch over to a sock account.
Oh dear God.
Yeah. So he's just sitting there hyping himself up and hit send without realizing, oh shit, I didn't log out yet.
Jeez.
Well, that's like God, who like I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been a Medicare video where someone was trying to hype themselves up, and they didn't log out of one account just before they posted whatever they were supposed to post. And so, like, they wrote something, and they're like, "Wait a minute, is this guy's name?" And then, like, sort of like a counterpoint that they brought up under the same name, and they're like, "Well, I'll take this as a yes."
But, yeah. Of all the things to get death threats over, is like liking a comment that someone else wrote. It's like I didn't even comment. I just liked the review, and that was it.
I kind of want to read that book now. I mean, you should. If anything, like you get it at like the library for free, read it, and then you start quoting back his book to him.
Well, yeah, don't give him money. It's not worth giving him money just to read this book, because
just every time you get one of those emails or whatever, one of those messages, just like chapter 7.
Well, for better or worse, I've stopped. I only got like 3 messages from the guy. So that was a few years ago, and he left me alone after that because I ignored him.
I have so much free time that I would have had way too much fun with that dude.
Yeah.
Just sort of as an FYI, if you guys should ever host your own live streams, and you want to go troll, say, the minions like I just did, realize that when you're going to comment on the chat, to make sure that you're commenting on the right chat. I was commenting in the minion stream about stuff that we're talking about.
Oh dear.
And I'm like, oh, I really hope no one's knowing what we're talking about, because yeah, we're just gonna
exit. Maybe that'll spark their curiosity, and they'll come over here to see what the hell the comment was in relation to.
No, I went over there and I started saying hi to everyone, and then I exited out, so I don't remember what I even said. And I'm like, maybe they just won't pay attention. Like, here's hoping. Okay. Oh, Dela Hayes just subscribed. Nice.
Awesome.
What were my notes? Other parts that went wrong, I guess. Yeah, she said the husband was Japanese Filipino, and she's Vietnamese Chinese, and they both hate Koreans.
I'm too lazy to hate anyone. Hating people is a lot of effort and not worth it.
Well, it's like I was telling my friends when I was growing up, and we were talking about racism. I mean, this is right after the Rodney King beating.
Okay.
And well, they're like, well, you know, so how could they do something like that? And it's like, well, I don't know. Like, we would think about the only reason, like, our local sheriff would be beating on anyone let alone having 7 cops just pummeling the shit out of you. And someone mentioned that it's just because that Rodney King was black, and I'm like I don't think I could get that. And I was like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, I'm mixed race, so like if I'm hitting myself for being a native, and then I'm hitting myself for being white, it's like,
Petite Nakoko on Twitter makes a lot of jokes about the white half oppressing her Asian half because she's mixed as well. She's like, my white half is oppressing my Asian half again. Whenever SJWs talk about how minorities are oppressed.
yeah. Yeah, I was trying to come up with like sort of intros, and the only thing I could think of for you was what was it? I need to write these things down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, known for Australian footwear.
It does make me laugh that thong means very different things whether you're in Australia or America.
Well, I used to call them thongs when I was a kid.
Okay.
So like for the longest time, I was like, yeah, that guy's wearing thongs, and everyone's looking like, why are you looking at his thongs? I'm like, his feet. Like, Jesus Christ, what the hell's your problem? But no, the intro I had for me and Camel is combined. We're still 90% more Native American than Elizabeth Warren.
Yes. That is one of those things that the fact that she released the results as if it proved she was right all along just blows my mind. Like, see, 0.00001%. Told ya. Like, yeah, that doesn't say what you think it says.
It proves that you have a great relative.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's probably one of the ones that came straight from the caveman.
It still counts. One drop of native blood is still enough to make her a native. That's the rule. I did think it was funny that Ben Shapiro was disappointed because he did a DNA test to prove that he was more Native American than Elizabeth Warren, but he's 100% Jew, and so now he has to say he's the only person who's not more Native American than Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, see, she brings up the book by Sheryl Sandberg about getting women riled up about being in tech careers. And this is off the first one. She said, yeah, feminism is the worst thing to happen to women.
I just realized I've been muted this whole time.
Oh dear.
I wonder why you guys kept talking over me.
Well, I was wondering I was wondering if you would because usually you put you like be right back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's been an hour.
Yeah. I hit the button to cough, and I guess I forgot to
Put it back on.
Yeah. But no, that election night coverage, they were talking about, the first two Native American women elected to Congress being from Kansas and New Mexico. And I messaged Skeptalk, because he responded to somebody about, what about Elizabeth Warren? I said, now do you see why I got so pissed? when she came out with that DNA test, this is why. But yeah, Ali Wong with that she's talking about Sarah Sandberg. Lean In is the title of the book.
Yeah.
And her joke was I don't want to lean in, I want to lay down. I was like, yeah, so do the rest of us.
I mean, at least that's got the formulations of a joke. Like, I can see why that's meant to be funny, as opposed to the comedy special where it was, I'm going to complain and then you're going to laugh when I'm complaining. Like, at least that's a play on words, even if it's a kind of a lazy one. But there's a joke there. I've got to give it that.
Squeaking those jokes out.
You got to take whatever you can get, and I will take that as the one joke that I've heard from Ali Wong, and it wasn't even from the special that we watched.
Well, like I said, there was some of the first special that kind of made me laugh, but just listening to the second one, she's shrieking the whole time.
She is,
and that was a major difference from the first one. In the first one, she was actually talking.
Well, that would have made a big improvement, because what happened with me was, once I kind of got numbed to the shrieking, I kind of got in a, well, I'm going out of my way to not find this funny now. Like, not even a conscious decision. It's just, that's the kind of mood it put me in. It's like, well, if you're going to be annoying rather than funny, then I'm no longer in the mood to be charitable and find you funny where I might otherwise have done so. So if she'd been, less annoying and actually spoken instead of caterwauling into a microphone, I might have been more receptive to her jokes, if there were any that I missed.
Well, what gets me is like in the side chat while we were watching, Johnny mentioned when she said something about being privileged, like his bingo card was full.
Bingo card.
Well, from her first special, she admits that her and her husband are fucking privileged. They're both private school educated Asians.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that she's rich makes her privileged. Like, you can't be rich and not privileged, because wealth is a massive privilege in society. Like,
and I've got to wonder, since she brought it up in both of her specials that her husband went to Harvard Business School. I wonder if that's her like signaling to all the other Asians that, yeah, my husband's one of the really smart Asians. He got into Harvard even with Asian discrimination.
It could be.
Maybe that's something she's expecting like all the other Asians to get, but it's like a dog whistle. The white people won't get it because they're white. And black people, they probably don't even know what Harvard is. But you Asians,
It does break my brain that affirmative action punishes Asians for overperforming. Like, if the whole point is to help minorities, Asians are a pretty small minority in the US.
How about 1%?
Surely affirmative action should be, well, if we're giving black people 10 extra points, let's give the Asians 20, because they're a much smaller portion of the population than the black community. But no, it's like, no, you do too well on the test, so we're just going to dock you some marks because, that's how we do things.
My question is, like when they have the admissions officers and everything going over all the applications, how racist do they get when they're talking just to each other? It's like, I don't know, man. There's too many slopes around here. We can't be having too many more of them yellow bastards. We gotta get some black folk in here.
I forget who it was, but someone described the SJW crowd as white supremacists with a guilty conscience, because if you look at what they state,
it's a perfect way of saying it. Yeah,
they really do have this attitude that white people are better than everyone else, and that's why those poor, downtrodden blacks need all the help they can get to be lifted up, because they're just not good enough on their own. And that is a white supremacist talking point. It's just that
it's the new white man's burden.
Yeah, exactly.
But I thought it was hilarious when that survey came out. Was it last month now? We're showing like the breakdown of who believes in social justice and who doesn't.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's educated upper middle class white people who buy into that shit.
Yeah.
And they broke it down by demographics, and like American Indians were like 88% rejected political correctness. It's like, yeah, and we've been listening to this shit for over 400 years. We still don't buy it.
And one thing that really exemplified everything was they did a study and found that the socially progressive types will actually simplify their language when talking to black people.
Oh, yeah,
and then if they're told in advance, no, this is one of the smart black people, they won't do it. So they do have this inherent belief that black people are stupid, and they will talk down to black people as if they're idiots, unless they've been foretold, no, this is one of the smart ones. You can use your big boy words with this one. It's like, what more proof do you need that they're sharing the white supremacist line of thinking that white people actually are better? Because why else would you need to talk down to the black people?
Well, what gets me is they separate it out, black culture, white culture. It's like, no, what you see as black culture is just poor culture.
Yes.
But you're accepting it because it's black. Whereas if you see poor white people, oh well, fuck them. They're just a bunch of toothless rednecks.
Well, you can see that in
like I have a lot more in common with the black people that I interact with, just on a socioeconomic point, than I do with any white person that makes more than like $35,000 a year.
Well, you can see it with I think it was Trey Martin or someone like that was saying
Trey Melvin.
Melvin, that's him.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Was saying that a homeless white person is more privileged than him, who is like this really rich black kid. And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Oh yeah, and like he didn't like was it white people using the N-word?
Yeah.
And I think I left a comment. I was just like, "Nigga, is you retarded?" Like you don't get to tell me what words people can and can't say.
Yeah, I mean, my attitude towards the word nigger is basically that context is everything. There's a big difference between talking about the use of the word nigger and actually calling someone. Like if I was to go up to Satsu and call him a nigger, that would be incredibly offensive. If I'm just talking about its use in language, then no, it's not. It's
I feel like I'm about to break into that whole Boondocks episode where it's like, for me, it's the hard R.
That makes no sense to me.
If you say like, well, what's up, nigga? I don't bat an eye. But if you're like, look at that nigger over there, it's like, oh shit, dude, what the fuck? What?
See, to me, I don't see a difference. Nigga and nigger, they sound so similar to my ear that I can't even tell which one you're saying unless I'm listening for it.
They're both the same.
Yeah.
But what gets me is like, I've been called a nigger with the hard R and everything by white dudes, black dudes, and Mexicans. So
did
for me, it's huh? Did I stop being one? I don't know, man. I still love ribs and Kool-Aid.
Well, I'm going to say no then.
Although I still don't find the appeal in the Tyler Perry movies, so I'm gonna say it's a 50-50 kind of toss-up deal.
Yeah. Partial credit. Partial credit.
Yeah. A for effort.
I think there was one Tyler Perry movie that I liked, and I don't remember what it was.
I'm pretty sure I haven't seen any of his movies, so I don't even know the names of them.
My mother, she loves those movies, and so that kind of makes me question: is like, are we sure it's just Indians on that side of the family? But yeah, like it's funny to me because I get I got a bunch of black dudes coming to the store, all hours of the night, and they're all cool with me. It's the white people that give me a problem. I had one dude drove up to the store in a big ass lifted truck, parked in the handicapped parking spot. Didn't even try to like limp or anything when he got out. Goes to the bathroom, comes up to the counter, wants to get a pack of cigarettes. All right, cool. Dude does not look like he's 30 years old, which is the cutoff for IDing for my company.
Yeah.
You gotta at least look like you're 30, which, fuck, I'm 30 and I can't tell you what 30 looks like. So, I mean, unless you're walking in, just old as fuck, I'm going to ask you for ID. This guy got offended. He's like, you got your ID? He's like, no. I was just like, well, no ID, no sale, man. Sorry. Like, do I really look under 18 to you? Like, that's a $90,000 truck out there. I was like, okay, so your daddy bought you a truck. Could he not get you an ID too? Yeah, that pissed him off. I was like, I don't care, dude. And then he tried to get his girlfriend to come. He didn't even leave the parking lot. Didn't circle the block once. Nothing. Yeah, he just goes, gets in his truck. His girlfriend gets out. She walks in. I've got another customer, and as soon as she queues up to stand in line, I just look. It's like, I'll sell you anything but cigarettes or alcohol, hun. And she's like, huh? I was like, anything but cigarettes or alcohol you can buy. If you come in here to buy cigarettes or alcohol, the answer is no. Well, why? It's like, because your boyfriend just came in here without ID. I know you're buying it for him, especially if you try and ask for the same damn brand. So, no.
So subtlety wasn't their strong suit.
No, not at all. And, it amazes me to this day, which it shouldn't. I should be, totally 100% jaded by now. But it still amazes me how people will drive up to the store. They'll see them driving into the store. Then they'll walk in there, ask for cigarettes, and when I ask them for ID, it's like, no, I don't have it. Then what the fuck are you driving for?
Well, yeah, that means they don't have their license on them.
Yeah.
Which is dumb.
I mean,
I don't have a license because I just never got one. But if I know I'm going to need ID, I bring my passport because...
Well, it's a form of ID.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a government issued photo identification. I mean, I can take a passport. I can use that for cigarettes or alcohol if that's how you want to do it.
So as long as it's got the date of birth and a picture of them, that should be fine. As long as it's official ID.
Yeah. I mean, now like I live in the Choctaw Nation. Choctaw tribal members have photo tribal ID with date of birth and everything on it. I could take that too. I don't just because fuck them, but I could if I wanted to.
Yeah, because like when I know I'm gonna need ID, like in Australia, if you want to buy certain cold medication, you need to show ID because
same thing here.
Okay.
Meth heads are international.
Okay, so if I'm going to buy cold and flu medication, I will bring my passport because I know they're going to ask me for it. Because, I mean, not bringing my passport and then getting offended that they asked for it would be idiotic. It's like, it doesn't make sense in my head.
Do they have a limit on how much cold and flu medication you can buy?
They do. I don't know what the limit is, but I know that's why they need to see the ID so that they can enter it into a database. So you can't just go to a different
right
and buy more.
Here in Oklahoma, it's like 3 a month.
Okay,
For like,
I've got no idea what the limit is.
it's like allergy medicine here is what it is, I think.
Okay, but yeah, so you have to show them ID, and then they enter it into the computer, and then if you go to another pharmacy, they can look it up and go, "Oh wait, you've just bought 3 packets from this other pharmacy. I can't sell you anymore." Is the so yeah? I mean, if I'm buying cold and flu medicine and I forget to bring my passport, I don't stand there going, "Well, how very dare you?" I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's my mistake. I'll come back later with my passport." And like, it's my mistake, not theirs. You've got to own up to it.
I'm just going back through the side chat here, seeing some of the stuff we said about Miss Wong.
God.
There was one that caught my attention. She's talking, about her mom talking to her about being comfortable around her husband,
Yeah.
and she asks, she's like, "Do you fart in front of your husband?"
Hmm.
She goes, "I fart in my husband."
Ugh.
How the fuck is that supposed to make sense, let alone be funny?
It's not. And the whole thing about the guy with the small dick, like, she was talking about that for way too long. Like,
Yeah,
it wasn't funny.
like I said,
And
she's really trying to stretch that tiny dick joke.
yeah, and that was funnier than everything she said. Like, because you actually made a joke stretching the small dick. It's like, okay, there's a joke in that. Whereas she was just complaining about some guy with a lack of endowment that displeased her. Like, so yes. Once again, you and Johnny have entertained me far more than the supposed professional comedian that was hired to do the job.
But yeah, I'm just saying this, like, the only way I could figure the whole "I fart in my husband" line works is there's got to be pegging involved. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Or she sits on his face and farts in his mouth, or
Yeah, that's a possibility as well. But I don't know. I'm assuming that she's the top in that relationship.
I would assume so. And I
I feel
am,
sorry for that guy. I really do.
oh yeah, so me too. But I am glad that I had no visual on the entire special because Johnny says there was dancing at the end that I am quite glad I did not see.
Uh, I could probably go back and watch it, but I'm not gonna.
I am not. I am not interested in the slightest in watching Ali Wong dance badly to rap.
I'm trying to think who else was on that list for the New York Times. I know we still have Steve Martin and Martin Short. They did like a double feature. And then there's that new Chris Rock one, Tambourine, which I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting seeing Chris Rock doing stand up now that he's divorced and lost all that money.
Could be, yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. I'm kind of wary because I remember old Chris Rock, you know. I remember him doing, sold out international tours and everything like that. And I'm afraid that the funniest thing that I'm going to hear from Chris Rock was that joke he told to Dave Chappelle. It's like, about getting divorced.
Yeah.
Like, my wife has made more from stand up comedy than you have, and she's never told a joke. Because that has been like the theme with comedians talking about divorce, like all going back to like Eddie Murphy Raw. The dude always loses half.
Yes. That's the standard standard trope in terms of divorce jokes.
Which I did kind of think that was a little bit funny from the special, like, Ali Wong talking about, her husband's family making her sign a prenup. And now that she's the one making more money, their son is fucked. It's like, well, I mean,
see, that had the potential to be funny, but her screaming it robbed it of its comedy. Like, her delivery style in general just annoyed me more than it could possibly entertain.
well, no, what made me laugh about that joke wasn't what she said. It was her assuming that she's going to keep making this amount of money going into the future. She's like, you forget, he still went to Harvard Business School, bitch.
Yeah. And I suppose leftist media can only prop her up so much. I mean, eventually they're going to realize that she's only got one act, and it's not good.
He still has a marketable skill to put to use when people get tired of hearing you talk about your ripped up pussy.
Which should have happened the second she mentioned said pussy. That was not a line of discussion that I was very interested in hearing.
Well, what got me was that, it's like, I don't know, maybe it was the fact that Amy Schumer saturated the market with, horrible pussy jokes. But now when I hear, I'm sure I could go through and probably think of a bunch of comedians talking about their dick ad nauseum.
Of course.
But at the same time, I don't know, it does seem less gross.
Well,
because you never hear a male comedian talking about like having dick cheese or whatever, just hanging from his shaft, and
the dick jokes tend to have an actual joke rather than just describing how disgusting they are, and that's what got me with this special. None of it was a joke. It was all, this is how much I hate my kid. This is how much I hate my husband. This is how disgusting I am as a person. I was like, okay, that's all good information for you to start telling jokes about. Kindly begin with the jokes.
I just think it's funny, you want to talk about, her talking about like, wage gap or, maternity leave or, this or that. It's like, all right, well, let's talk about the expectations gap, because women have way lower expectations, cough, cough, stand-up comedy wise,
yes,
than men do.
No doubt about it.
Like, if I try to pull an Amy Schumer and get on stage for, just like 10 minutes talking about how atrocious my balls smell, you're not going to get any laughs.
Probably not, no.
People are just going to be like, oh, that's disgusting. Get this dude off stage.
Yeah.
Amy Schumer does it, and all the seals clap.
Yeah. Well, I really like the joke about people laughed when Amy Schumer said she wanted to go into comedy. Well, nobody's laughing now, which is Bob Monkhouse joke. He said it about himself, but I really like that. I think that's quite funny.
What I think is hilarious is that she spent her entire career, just talking about being a slut, and now she's, a warrior for women's rights.
Well, one of the things that jumped out at me was, because her act is all about what a cheap, dirty slut she is, someone made a joke on Twitter or Facebook that they met a cheap, dirty
no,
slut.
That was a kid. I remember that one. He was like a 17-year-old kid. He met her somewhere, and he made a joke about like spending the night with Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
And she put him on blast for that.
Yeah. And it's like, you can't blame the kid for playing along with your joke. I mean, you've said...
Hey, Peter.
Hey, Peter's back.
Welcome back.
Well, what I think is hilarious is a known joke thief got pissed that somebody bit one of her jokes.
Yeah. I forgot about the joke stealing. Because I tend to associate Amy Schumer with just being shit and talking about a smelly vagina. But no, the few things that she said that are funny were stolen from other people.
Yeah. I mean, like they do that whole supercut, and what gets me is like that's another thing, like the expectations gap between men and women. When's the last time anybody heard about Carlos Mencia?
Rightfully never. Like after he was outed as a joke thief, his career died.
The last time I heard about Carlos Mencia was when they were roasting him on South Park with the whole fish sticks episode.
I haven't watched South Park in way too long, so I don't know that one.
They had Kanye West beating him with a baseball bat because Kanye didn't understand the joke about fish sticks.
Okay.
But yeah, like I mean, Dane Cook also, ripped off Louis C.K. among whoever else.
Hmm.
He did some movies, and now nobody ever talks about him.
Well, I mean,
unless it's like Joe Rogan, like making fun of like his Instagram, post gym pictures.
yeah. I mean, even Dennis Leary, the name is now associated with ripping off Bill Hicks by just about everyone who knows him for anything other than the arsehole song knows him as a joke thief.
Oh yeah, like I think I put that into chat on Monkey in the Morning. I was like, why is Dennis Leary famous and Bill Hicks is virtually unknown? Because there's no cure for cancer.
Yeah, and I forget where I heard that joke the first time, but yeah, it unfortunately very accurate.
And like they even brought it up like on his roast, his Comedy Central roast.
Right.
Lenny Clark brought him a carton of cigarettes, and he said, "I found these backstage with a note, and it said it was from Bill Hicks. Said I wish I got these to you sooner." Like that's some cold-blooded shit to come from one of your best friends.
Oh man.
Who, Peter? I'm not entirely sure. Oh,
one of the comedians you mentioned,
Mencia or Dane Cook.
Hey, Carlos is so funny.
Yeah, Ned is hilarious. Ned Holness, I believe. If we want to go ahead and dox him. What really got Mencia was when everyone found out he's not actually Mexican. Once the Mexicans found out that he was lying about being one of them, like he got dropped through the floor, man.
So what is he actually?
Honduran. He is German and Honduran.
So not quite Mexican then.
Ned Arnell.
Definitely not. Yeah. But
with a name like Arnell, you know it's got to be Mexican.
Yeah, that was Mencia, Peter. But yeah, when they found out he was Honduran and not a Mexican, they're like, "Oh well, fuck you then. No, we ain't coming to your shows."
17 of 18 kids.
Damn. That's why he stole jokes. He was so used to getting hand-me-downs.
That's an excellent point.
But yeah, I mean that's another thing. Like Amy Schumer, she's still kicking around after stealing jokes from like a bunch of different women, and yeah, still relevant, still getting articles written about her. Mencia did the same thing. Like he stole from Cosby, he stole from Kinnison.
Well, and then Rogan showed that thing when they interviewed him, and he's like, "Yeah, if it's funny to me, I'll steal the shit out of it."
Oh yeah. But like I mean, he was doing that. I mean, not just he stole a Kinnison bit for his TV show. He was putting Cosby bits into his stand up, that he was doing specials on, and like nobody got it. I mean, comedians got it because they're comedians. They know all this material. They grew up with it. But the average Joe watching TV, he's not gonna recall a Cosby bit from 40 years ago. He's gonna think, oh well, that's funny, that's brand new.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what happened to me with Amy Schumer. There was a time when I thought she was somewhat funny, and I now know that's because she stole material from Dave Attell and whoever else it was. But it's like, okay, that makes sense. That when she's telling her own jokes, it's all about her stinky pussy, and when she's actually funny, it's
it was him and Patrice O'Neill.
Oh, that's it. Patrice O'Neill. He was good. I did really like Patrice. He was very funny.
Yeah, his was Elephant in the Room was probably one of my favorite stand-ups.
Patrice was my second favorite person on Tough Crowd, with Greg Giraldo being my first.
Yeah. Yeah, Patrice is one of those guys who, like, he didn't look like he knew what he was talking about. But as soon as he started talking, like, you knew, like, oh yeah, I'm not winning a debate against this guy. Who is your top comic that doesn't steal shit?
I'm going to go with Greg Giraldo. That guy is, well, was brilliant.
Yeah. He didn't need to steal shit. He was always prepared.
Yeah, he was sharp as a tack too. Like, you only need to look at the altercation with Dennis Leary, where once he deviated from his set material, he was still razor sharp in his responses, whereas Dennis was kind of floundering. He was a very, very smart guy.
Let's see. Did we bring up? Oh, yeah.
Damn it, I did it again.
Ali Wong apparently likes the butt stuff.
Oh yes, we did get an answer as to Allie's position on the Turtle Cave question. She's for it.
She's all for tongue buttering the Turtle Cave.
If it's a 25-year-old, not ugly person who does housework or something in that vein. But yes, she will eat the shit out of his asshole, to use her own words.
Yeah, I started to answer Peter's question. I realized I was muted again. But yeah. If I'm going to pick a comedian, it's a very generic answer, I know, but I'm going with Carlin.
Oh, yeah. He was.
Well, I mean, he was doing, he was so prolific that he was doing one special a year way before anybody else was. And he would just write it out. After doing comedy for so long, he would just write them out, and he would, edit and go back and forth. But he didn't really work them out in comedy clubs like most comics do.
Yeah.
He might, pop in and do one or two shows to warm up before he taped a special, but he wasn't going around touring it and working on it as he went. He just flat wrote it out and did it.
I actually got to see him, I think it was 5 or 6 months before he passed away.
And how was that?
It was really great. I mean, he was on it.
And yeah, and he was sharp as a tack up until he died too.
Yeah, yeah.
Which unfortunately you couldn't say for like Richard Pryor.
And George Carlin's best work was naturally Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Rufus.
Exactly.
Actually, I gotta say, Ben Affleck killed George Carlin.
How did that happen?
Oh, Dogma.
No,
No? Wait,
it
how did he
was
do it?
it was crap. What was that movie?
Oh, was Jersey Girl?
Yeah,
You know, I'm a little embarrassed that I know that answer.
I
not not
have not seen Jersey Girl, so
not Kevin Smith's best work.
I will take you at your word. I don't care enough to go see it.
I put that like one rung below Chasing Amy, and like one rung above Mallrats.
Okay. I mean, I did see Mallrats. I don't remember much of it. Um, I think what's his name? Jason Lee was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, and was it Jeremy London.
Right. And
But
that was Jason Lee before he grew his Earl mustache, so he looks weird.
uh, well, like the only thing I look back on Mallrats now, and the only thing I like about it is the Stan Lee cameo.
Right. I forgot there even was one. That's how badly I remember that movie. And
Well, I had a roommate when I was like 18 years old who every day I would come home from work and she would be watching Mallrats. And this went on for like a month straight because
that's pretty cool.
we didn't have cable. We just had, DVDs. And I'm like, we've got, we don't have a large collection of DVDs, but we've got more than one, bitch. Pick something else.
I mean,
Like
if you
there's one
enjoy,
TV in the house, there's one DVD player in the house, and I'm tired of watching this goddamn movie. Pick something else.
I've got to say, I would agree with you. Is that after like the second viewing, I'd be like, okay, let's watch something else. I mean, if this went on for a month, God, that'd drive me up the wall.
Clerks. Um, I've only seen once, and I think I'm good with that.
Uh,
Uh,
I've never actively like watched Clerks. Like I never went and sought it out. But if it's been on TV, I'll stop and watch it, kind of thing. I mean, because it does have some good lines in it. Like, what was that one? He looks at that dude behind. I mean, because shit, I'm a clerk, so I mean, I kind of identify with it.
yeah,
But
I haven't
he
seen
sees that guy, after he gets in that fight with his girlfriend. He looks at the guy's like, my girlfriend sucked 37 dicks, and the guy's just got the perfect response. He's like, in a row.
it. But Chaos Eve is evidently not a fan of the movie because she saw it once, and that was once too many times.
Well, it was miles and away, way better than Mallrats.
Well, I can believe that. I mean, I barely remember Mallrats, so if Clerks is actually memorable in any capacity, it would probably have to count as better. The only thing I think I remember from Mallrats, and it might be a different movie, was he did something about sticking like his hand up his ass or something, and then
Oh,
shaking.
the stink palm.
Yeah, I forget the details, but it was something about getting shit on his hand and then shaking hands with someone else so that their hand would also stink. Like,
Yeah, it was he stink palmed Michael Rooker's character, which is Jeremy London's girlfriend's father,
Claire,
he's the main antagonist of the movie.
Claire Forlani.
Uh, Claire Foran, yeah, that's her name. Was she British or something?
Forlani. I'm not sure.
She's definitely not American because her American accent is very strained to my ear in that movie.
Apparently, there was a blonde chick from Mallrats that Peter thought was cute, and I don't even remember who that would be. So
that's the one that is from Chasing Amy. She's
Joey
Amy in
Lauren
that
Adams?
movie, huh?
Was it Joey Lauren Adams?
Yes, Joey Lauren Adams.
Okay, he's cute.
Yeah. But I don't know if I had to pick a favorite Kevin Smith movie, it'd probably be Clerks 2. Just because, I think that's the last. I think it's the last time we're ever going to see the character Randall.
Okay,
And I always liked Randall best.
I haven't seen much of Kevin Smith's stuff. I've seen Dogma, I've seen Mallrats, and I've seen what's it called? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back or whatever.
Yeah. Which that was a good one too. I actually used a line from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, or no, wasn't Strike Back. No, it was Clerks 2. That was Clerks 2. I used the line from. I had a guy come into my store, fresh out of prison.
Oh, fun!
And I know he was fresh out of prison because he still had his Nazi tattoos, which is really hilarious. He had a swastika tattooed on his right shoulder, and he had a portrait of Jesus tattooed on his left.
Wow.
And so, like, I just looked at the dude. I was like, I hate to break this to you, but you know Jesus was a Jew, right?
Well, maybe
read your Bible, sir.
Maybe Jesus was his favorite person to gas. That's why he's got the two tattoos together.
But yeah, he looked at me like he had no idea what I was talking about. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if you know this, but Jesus was a Jew. You might want to read your Bible, sir.
Come on, if you actually had to read the Bible to be religious, like Christian, then no one would be Christian. Like, no one reads that stupid thing.
Oh, if you actually had to read the Bible to be a Christian, the only people that would be Christians would be the atheists.
Pretty much, yeah. I tried to read the Bible, and God, it's boring. It's badly written, and it's boring.
And yet they keep telling us that's the greatest story ever told.
It's not. Like, Harry Potter, which I haven't read, but I've seen the first movie, that's a shit story, and it's better than the Bible.
And apparently we struck a nerve with Chaos. She reads the Bible, apparently.
So one person reads the Bible.
Is that read or read? Because
it could be either.
There is that context there. Which tense are we speaking of there, Chaos?
But yes, for the I don't actually have a problem with religious people. I just think it's fairly standard that the majority of Christians have not actually read the Bible. Chaos being one of the few exceptions.
I prefer to remain unaffiliated, but I do not begrudge a person having faith. Just don't talk to me about it. Save that shit for somebody else. You know?
Yeah. I don't care what you believe as long as it doesn't affect me.
Exactly.
So Scientology, go for it. You know, Mormonism, go nuts. Whatever flying spaghetti monsters.
Just don't knock on my door at 7 a.m. on the weekend, man. You
exactly.
Also,
and we appreciate that, Chaos. Just keep it to yourself. Thank you.
I was gonna say the announcement I was gonna make after we announced the stream. I had decided, being that Google has decided to dox me the camel. I'm like, I might as well do a little bit of a face reveal.
Oh, nice.
And so let's see if I can get this all lined up because.
All right, if there is not a black cat sitting filing his nails in the chair when you turn that camera on, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
As will I.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with revealing my face. It's just that if I did turn the camera on, I think my connection would lag to all hell because I'm on Australian internet.
Yes, Chaos. That's exactly what we're saying. Johnny is in fact not a cat of color.
At least be filing your nails. Give us that.
Yeah.
Like my camera is kind of messing up, so I really have to.
So we're saved by malfunctioning technology. Let's see. That's the thing. Like Monkey's been toying with the idea of a face reveal. It's like, don't do it, man. You know, not that I'm trying to say that you're ugly or nothing. It's just like I would rather prefer to think of you always as just a monkey avatar. Just let me have that.
Well, what I was thinking with regards to that was when he streams on Satsu's Twitch channel, for instance, he can reveal his face there, and then the people who don't want to see it can not watch that aspect of it. So, like the people who just want the monkey head can stick to Lords of the Night and Monkey in the Morning, and the people who don't care can watch the Twitch streams or whatever. Would be a decent way to split the difference and keep both camps reasonably happy.
Yeah, because as far as I'm concerned, Twitch doesn't even exist. I tried watching a couple of streamers on there, and it's boring to me.
My situation with Twitch is I don't like watching people play video games. That is not entertaining to me. So if I'm on Twitch, it's to talk to the person who's actually streaming, whoever that may be.
Yeah, and I've run out of subtle Nazi jokes to make at Badger's expense in his chat without getting him booted. So,
well, yeah, I've kind of lost interest in a lot of Badger's streams, mostly because he's gotten a lot touchier with trolling. Like he's a lot quicker to ban and blacklist words and stuff like that.
well, I mean, I imagine it's probably got something to do with those EU legislations coming in.
It could be, but for instance, I can understand that he has the word Nazi blacklisted, so you can't say it in his chat.
Oh, definitely.
But he also has National Socialist blacklisted, and I think that's insane. To be blunt, I see no logical grounds to blacklist that particular pairing of words.
I mean, unless it's followed by, Workers' Party of Germany, I don't see a problem with it.
All right, I got it set up now.
Okay, cool.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
It's all right.
Hold on, let me strap in.
I know it's a bit much.
Wow.
You even went and got your headdress for us. I appreciate that.
That is exactly how I thought you would look.
Yeah, that works.
And yep, that is spot on. Exactly what I thought you would look like. You're missing the nail file, but I'll let it slide.
And Chaos has no words.
No, she found two.
Oh, she found a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, that goes next to my apology for a few streams back.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. I don't have a problem with that. That was funny.
Now I've got to go, like, break into the zoo and try and find a camel that'll sit still long enough for me to put a headdress on it and take a photo.
And a cigarette.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been to one zoo.
Oh, you owe Peter a new phone.
No refunds. I took my kids to the zoo once, and anytime we tried to get a picture of any of the animals, they immediately turned and showed their ass.
Actually, because they know the drill, man. Like, this is the zoo, motherfucker. You're not getting any free shots.
Or maybe they're just used to being in pornos and they think they have to present themselves whenever a camera is present.
Well, it was in Utah, so there is some sexual repression going on there.
There you go. Mystery solved.
The only time I ever think about Utah is you guys know who the porn star Asia Carrera was?
I've heard the name. I don't know the face.
Well, she was the first, like, real big non-white porn star of the 90s. She's like half Japanese, half German or something like that. So she's got the Asian features.
Okay.
But she's actually a member of Mensa. Did her own, built her own website in the 90s. And when she got out of porn, she moved to Utah because they have the really strict porn laws.
Yeah.
And she ended up getting interviewed about it because she left the industry, just retired. She got too old for it, and had a couple kids, moved to Utah. And they asked her about some case of a woman distributing pornography, like a sex shop or whatever. She's like, well, I don't begrudge her selling porn, legal porn. I don't begrudge a person who's old enough buying legal porn. But, I mean, I did move to Utah so that way my kids wouldn't have to grow up with all their friends looking at porn sites of their mom taking a dick in the ass when they were in grade school. So,
well, that's very considerate. I imagine that would be rather embarrassing for any kid.
Is it kind of awkward that when I went to look up Asia Carrera, like Asia Argento pretty much is the one that comes up?
And a little bit, yeah. I mean,
and then there's a picture of a gal making out with a dog. So I don't want to do that anymore.
Like, is it because
you should have turned on Safe Search first?
I probably. Well, I mean, I was looking up Asia Argento, so I mean, not Argento, Carrera.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no safety there.
If I'm not mistaken, the last time that she was in the news, like I think she got in the news for getting the Utah DMV to let her take her driver's license photo with the spaghetti colander on her head. I think she's one of those pastafarians.
I thought you were going to say get a picture with the dick in her ass.
No, that's from one of her movies. That's not.
But that will guarantee that the people looking at the ID, that is definitely your ID. That's exactly how I know you from.
But no, that reminds me. Going back to Miss Ali Wong. She's sitting there talking about buying stuff off Craigslist and people recognizing her.
Yeah.
It's like, I just watched your special yesterday. If I met you today, I wouldn't recognize you, bitch. Who are you trying to fool?
Yeah, that's why I put in the thing. I still don't know who you are.
I mean, I was fortunate that I had no visual. I just had the subtitles and the audio. So I definitely have no idea what she looks like and wouldn't recognize her if I met her.
Just imagine your typical 30-something-year-old Chinese lady, and that's probably what she looks like.
With cat rim glasses.
Fair enough. I would not recognize her based on that description. I might be living in the same area as 50 people who fit that description.
Well, like I live in a small town. We have like 2 Chinese restaurants, and yeah, if she stopped at my store to get gas, I would just assume she worked at one of them.
Well, my area is fairly heavy on the Asian population.
Now, are we talking like East Asian, or are we talking like British Asian? Because as far as I know, there's a difference.
Kind of both. There's a lot of Chinese, a lot of I don't know if there's Korean and Japanese, but definitely a lot of Chinese. But there's also the Pakistani and Indian, and that is here too. But I'd say mostly Chinese people, from what I've seen. And not far from me is where I used to work, which is practically Chinatown. It's not officially Chinatown, but there's signs in Chinese. So it's as close as you get.
China isn't that the same Chinatown that they took Lauren Southern to and asked her, "Is like, doesn't this look Australian to you?"
No, that would be a different one.
Oh, that wasn't in Sydney?
Well, it might have been in Sydney, but like where I live, it wouldn't be the Chinatown. It's just a high concentration of Chinese people.
Okay, gotcha.
Like if you said to someone, "Let's go to Chinatown," you wouldn't take them to Hurstville. You'd go into the city, like city areas, to find whatever suburb they were in. It definitely wasn't Hurstville.
But I just thought that was hilarious. Like, we're gonna show you what real Australia looks like, and they drop you off in Chinatown. It's like, doesn't this look Australian? Nah, it kind of looks Chinese to me, but what do I know? I'm just a dumb American.
Well, she's a Canadian.
Well, that's like America's Addict.
Yeah, but yeah, that whole thing was hilarious with Lauren Southern coming here. That was it was so insane. Everyone lost their damn mind.
I remember Bering put up. You know, he gave a shout out to some dude who was doing like coverage, I guess, of the protesters out in front of wherever Lauren and was it Stefan Molyneux were speaking.
It was yeah. That's it. That's the 2 people who came out.
I'm going to admit that I never really listened to any of his videos, but just the name alone makes me think he's a pretentious prick. So, yeah,
he is pretentious.
I prejudge. I'm not going to lie. If you have a really fucked up name, I'm going to judge you for it. I'm at least going to judge your parents for it.
I've seen a couple of his videos. It's not. He kind of talks too long. He's not concise in the slightest. Very waffly, and yeah, he might be incredibly intelligent, but he needs to tighten his videos up and make them a lot punchier.
He's very long-winded.
Yeah.
Something tells me he's one of those kind of people that the only people who watch him are the ones that absolutely agree with him or absolutely disagree with him.
I would say so.
And anybody who's in between those two just doesn't have time for that bullshit.
He seems like one of those people who uses big words just to seem smart.
Oh, kind of like Dennis Miller.
Yeah, very, very much. He got a thesaurus for his birthday, and he's going to use every word in it.
See, I could exercise my vocabulary. I could be more superfluous in my language. But I like to swear a lot, so you know, it's lazy and it's vulgar and it suits me down to the ground. So I'm gonna stick with that.
Oh, I can use big words if I'm if I'm being funny and like the joke is that I'm using a ridiculously roundabout way to say a simple thing, then yeah, I might use unnecessarily long words. But mostly you talk to be understood, not to show off how many words you know.
Exactly, and I'm surrounded by idiots, so I stopped trying years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, take it easy, Chaos. We'll,
Have a good
we'll
night,
see you
Chaos.
later.
Good night, Chaos.
But yeah, I got tired of people asking, "What's that word mean?" Well, I had to look it up in a dictionary, so figure it out.
Yeah.
What is the term that they use for us all the time? Educate yourself, shitlord.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And,
But I mean, of course, I was saying this to people in real life, so if I had said something like that to them, I would have got punched in the nose.
but another thing is usually you can just use context to figure out what an unfamiliar word is intended to mean. Like if someone uses a word and you don't know it, the rest of the sentence should clue you in as to what is being said.
Oh, but that makes too much sense, Terry. Everyone's gonna have things spoon fed to them now.
Well, that's true because I find the same thing with jokes. Like there's been jokes where I haven't understood the reference being made, but the context of the joke means I can get what joke is being made. So, like, even if I'd never heard of Tess Holiday, I would recognize that the joke is that she's extremely fat. So, okay, whoever this Tess Holiday is, she must be extremely fat. Otherwise, the joke makes no sense. So that I would figure out, the necessary information for the joke to work.
Or like Miss Ali Wong's joke about breastfeeding. I've never seen The Revenant, but apparently there's a bear attack in it,
Yeah,
and that's how
exactly.
she felt when her child was nursing on her tite. So context, yes.
And context seems to be sort of vanishing from the world. It's sort of like Count Dankula. We don't care that you were saying it to mock Nazis. You said gas the Jews all the same, so we're going to arrest you. And like that's insane. Once you lose context, that just the whole world stops making sense.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Unless you guys have something.
No, I was actually going to say I think I might have to head off soon.
I'm kind of starting to fade. So. So yeah. Yeah. If there's anything else.
No, nothing from me.
Anything we should plan on doing next?
We could try watching something actually funny and talking about that. That might be an interesting change of pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point we need a palate cleanser. We need to give the people who actually come and watch this something to actually go watch and enjoy.
Rather than something they already know that they're going to hate, finding out that we hated it too. Yeah, it might be interesting to try the other approach.
Like, oh, I know Bert Kreischer had a new one come out. Was it last month? Or somewhere time in October? Secret Time. That was actually, I laughed real hard at that one, especially like his closing bit. Like his two Netflix specials he's had, The Machine and this one, have got killer closing bits.
I haven't seen either of those.
Oh god, He's been telling the machine story for years. You can actually find that on YouTube.
Yeah.
I think somebody even did like a little animation for it. You know, where they put the audio of him telling the story, I think on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they animated it for him. But that's the story of how he got involved with the Russian mob when he was in college, and it's pretty damn funny.
Yeah, I think he did a what the hell's it called?
No, I think that was a Showtime special. Is what that was
this
for.
isn't happening.
Yeah, he might have done it there too. And I used to love that show, but they've got they got a new host for it now, which is kind of weird to me.
Yeah, it's not Ari, it's Roy Wood Jr.
Roy Wood Jr., which I mean, still a funny dude.
Yeah.
Like his story about meeting was it Luther Campbell from Two Live Crew, that was pretty damn funny.
Yeah.
But for me, it's weird watching shows like where they replace, and that's not like it's not like Ari Shaffir was just the host of that show. He created that show.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be This Is Not Happening on Comedy Central if it wasn't for Ari Shaffir. So it's weird seeing somebody else, doing his show. Or, it's kind of like being a fan of Chappelle's show and then watching Key and Peele. You're watching the same show, it's just different people doing it.
Yeah. That's like Big J Okerson. His stuff's really fucking funny too.
Yeah. What I thought was really hilarious was him ripping Amy Schumer on the Legion of Skanks podcast. Because
I've never heard any of this podcast.
I'm not a regular listener of the Legion of Skanks, but it's Big J Okerson, Dave Smith, Louis J. Gomez. And
I know that there's one that he does on Sirius, I think. On Comedy Central radio on Sirius.
That might be Legion of Skanks. I don't know. I never really got into satellite radio.
So, I got it when I got my car, and then once it faded away, I was like, I'm not paying for you.
Exactly, right? Like that's the only time I ever listened to satellite radio is when one of my buddies got a new car. And then, after like a year, the subscription would end, and I was like, "So, you gonna renew that?" And I'm like, "Fuck no." That came with the car,
Way too expensive.
Well, also, and that's a funny thing. Like Anthony Cumia has been doing the rounds promoting his new book, and he was talking about satellite radio versus terrestrial radio. And it's like, if you think about it, satellite radio doesn't make any sense. With terrestrial radio, if there's a problem, with a radio tower or something, you can send out an engineer, technician, and they can go get it fixed, no problem. If a satellite breaks down, it's a longer fucking trip.
And you need a very big ladder.
But also, it kind of doesn't make any sense. You're doing the same thing that you would do on terrestrial radio, except now you're bouncing that signal up to a satellite to bounce it back down to Earth. But I kind of miss old terrestrial radio, because now, we have a local radio station, and they kick it over to some national programming or something, like after 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, and then on the weekends, good luck. If you actually were listening to the radio and wanted to request a song these days, good luck. There's nobody there.
Oh yeah, it's just an MP3 player.
Yeah, that's what got me too. Because this would have been about probably about 6 or 7 years ago now. I actually called up to the radio station. I was working in a machine shop, and they had local classic rock station on, and that's what I grew up with. You know, was listening to classic rock stations, driving back and forth all over the state, visiting my dad. And so that was, you know, the soundtrack of my youth, you know, was songs that were written 30 years before I was born.
Yeah.
And so I called up to him to request a song. I was going to request No Quarter by Led Zeppelin. They could not find that song. It's like, well, I can't seem to find it. Is there anything else you want to hear? I was like, okay, well, I'll stick with Zeppelin. How about Over the Hills and Far Away? He finds it like 2 seconds after I tell him. He's like, all right, man, you know, I'll put it in rotation. You know, come on, probably sometime in the next 15 minutes. And I hang up. I go to, you know, clock in, start my shift, and then it hits me. I was like, that's the same fucking album, dude. You know, that's Houses of the Holy. You know, No Quarter is the A side, and Over the Hills and Far Away is the B side. Like, how can you not find one but find the other? It's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's on an MP3 player these days because everyone's fucking lazy. It's like, I don't think people should be able to call themselves DJs anymore. You know, like, you just work at a radio station. You're not a DJ.
MP3 jockeys.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
They're good enough to play what the hell is that called? House music.
But yeah, I about lost my shit sitting there at work. You know, it's just like, it's the same fucking album, man. And everyone's looking at me like, dude, you need to calm down. But it's the same album. I know, but you need to calm down.
Should we do the next one like the guys do comic book curation? We all just pitch one.
I mean, that sounds good. I mean, like, if I were going to pitch one tonight, it would be Bert Kreischer's Secret Time. If listening to us bitch, moan, and complain about Ali Wong has got you down about stand-up comedy, just you know, go flip on the Netflix, search Bert Kreischer, and enjoy.
I would say if for his latest one, you know, even though it's I think it's a couple years old now, is Bo Burnham's "Make Happy." He's got a song in there, which is pretty much because you have those people who, you know, people who take their life advice from like Taylor Swift songs. And essentially he say, if you take your moral wisdom from Katy Perry, you should just kill yourself.
Yeah.
You know, now that I think about it, since I got this nice new smart TV and somebody else's Netflix password, I need to catch up on F is for Family.
Oh yeah, that is such a great show.
Yeah, I left off on season 2, and now they've got season 3 out. So I don't know. I think I might get started on that this weekend. My girlfriend has been, you know, saying like, you know, now that we got this new TV, we should have a movie night. And she likes Hallmark movies, so I really don't trust her making the selection.
Sounds like my mom.
Yeah, because I had been joking, you know, for months, because she's been complaining since we moved into this new place about not having anything to watch. And I was like, well, you know, I pay like $70 a month for internet. That's what I use for entertainment. You know, why don't you go ahead and, you know, come into the 21st century and get with the program, all right?
But no, I want to watch Christmas and
yeah. I want to watch Hallmark Christmas movies in July. Like,
Yeah.
well, I'm pretty sure they got an app for that. But yeah, so I broke down. I got us a couple new TVs, that we could hook up through the internet, and uh, the previous movies that we've watched, for movie time, I've made her watch all the Marvel movies I haven't seen yet. So she's like sitting there watching Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther with me, and she's like, well, what else do you want to watch? It's like, well, I think Netflix gets Infinity War on Christmas Day, so I mean, hey, we got something to look forward to. She's like, do you want to watch anything that's not a comic book movie? It's like, you feel like sitting through a Ken Burns documentary? I haven't watched the whole Vietnam War one yet.
What else is there?
Well, my problem with Netflix is just that they've got all this crap on there, and there's no way to really filter through it. I mean, you just end up scrolling and scrolling and scrolling unless you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
That was my problem with it too.
That's why I kind of liked Hulu, because they had all the primetime TV shows and whatnot that they would upload like the day after they aired.
Yeah.
And so, in effect, you had primetime TV as well as movies. But we were watching movies on YouTube, and some of them that they've got on there, it's like, there's no way I'm paying $18 to watch another Spider-Man movie.
I wouldn't think so, no.
Like, they've had 3 Spider-Mans in my lifetime, or Spider-Mans, as Quiz would say.
Spider-Man.
They've had 3 Spider-Mans, so, and only one of them has been American, which kind of pisses me off. And the one American they have, wasn't Tobey Maguire already in his 30s when they're trying to have him play like a high school age Peter Parker?
Yeah.
And he didn't even try to do a New York accent either. I mean, at least with the 2 British kids, they tried. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is swinging all around New York City, talking like he's from Iowa.
Oh, well.
He wasn't the smart aleck either.
No, not at all. I mean, Andrew Garfield, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies were complete dog shit. But at least he had that kind of New York, attitude to him.
I don't necessarily think that they were Andrew Garfield's fault. They just were really shittily written.
Oh yeah, I don't blame him at all for the problems with that movie. And I haven't seen Spider-Man Homecoming, which, I mean, if YouTube wants me to pay $20 for it, I'm not going to see it anytime soon either.
Watch Scribe's review of it.
I think I may have seen it. It's still one of those things when it's good, you want to see it. But when it's bad, I still want to see it because, well, how bad is it?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cringy SJW-ish type shit in there. It's completely unnecessary. And they just sort of ham-fist you with it.
That makes you wonder, now that they fired Ruffalo, do you think they'll fire Tom Holland too? Because apparently he's had problems with the spoilers in the past.
Not sure.
I think they said they had to have Benedict Cumberbatch tailing him around when they were doing Infinity War. Just making sure he stayed off social media. I think it was Cumberbatch. It might have been him or somebody else. Like when they were doing like pressers, they like paired them up so like somebody could say, like, "Hey, shut up, kid! You know, you're fucking up the rest of us."
Well, I think I'm gonna check out. So if you guys keep streaming, I hope you have a good rest of the stream. But yeah, I'm off to do some other things. So I'll see you around.
All right, take it easy, Terry.
See you guys.
Good night, Terry. All right, yeah, I think we're gonna call it good now.
Yeah, I think it's 1:45 here. We streamed halfway through Lords of the Night and all the way through the Minions. It looks like so.
Yep.
I'd say that's a.
I trolled their stream a little bit. I think that's what brought chaos in. All right. Yeah.
Looks like we're gonna have to leave Peter hanging while he's at work.
Yep. Sorry, Peter. You're on your own. We'll see you guys later.
Oh.
What? Oh, yeah.